ACEs interviews. Conversations to empower. Introducing Scarlett O'Connor.
Hello, welcome to ACEs interview. Conversation to empower. I'm the Christian speaker. I'm joined today by Scarlett O'Connor, a therapist with hidden disabilities. Overcoming a 25-year battle with anorexia and bulimia herself, Scarlett has worked with clients in the areas of eating disorders and weight loss. She is passionate about working with corporate structures to implement change and to raise awareness about hidden disability and the judgment and guilt you have to overcome when you look normal. Thank you for joining me, Scarlett. What do you think the biggest misconception is around hidden disabilities?
Thank you for having me. It's it's a real privilege to be here, Leo. Thanks for having me on today. The biggest misconception is that disabilities have to be visible. You know, so many people are unfortunately so quick to judge everybody on how they look on the outside. You know, they can't see what's going on inside somebody's body and how they feel and what they deal with on a daily basis based on their outward appearance. And this is what I find in my life, and so many other people find living day to day with a disability that isn't visual. So I have a list of different autoimmune conditions. I have a blood clotting disorder, and I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So outwardly, you can't actually see, like my t-shirt, the storm that is often raging within me. And the things that I deal with on a daily basis, because on the outside I look perfectly fine. You know, I don't have anything that impedes me directly that people can see, and it causes a massive misconception with the general public, even with my friends and people who are close to me. They can't see what's going on within me, and this is the same with everybody who has a hidden disability. Yeah.
Do you think that much less awareness in general around hidden disability compared to more visible ones?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think the judgment is the main thing. I think that people are very quick to judge others. Oh, they say there's something wrong with them, but they look fine, so surely they should be able to just get on with their life. Or, you know, people are very quick to, if they can't see something in front of them and it's presented to them, then they'll make a judgment based on what they see before them. Whereas if somebody's in a wheelchair or somebody's got something obviously you know, wrong with them, my son, for example, my son's got severe autism and learning difficulties. He's 19 and he's non-verbal, and he's obviously got a disability, and the way he is treated is completely different than from somebody who it doesn't show up on, you know. So yeah, there is a massive lack of awareness around hidden disabilities. If people can't see it, they're very quick to judge it, and they expect people to be able to do everything as they do, which is a shame.
Yeah, and I also think sometimes for some reason in our nature to try and make something better, even though that's ridiculous, because no one has that power to make anything better. But I have heard from friends with hidden disability that they will often get comments like, oh, kind of trying to make it all better, and that's not really possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's obviously nothing wrong with you, so get on with your life. You know, why do you need extra support when you're absolutely fine? Or, you know, I can't see that there's anything going on, so why can't you just get on with it? When actually, very often people do need a lot of support and a lot of understanding, and they don't get that because people don't have anything to visually latch onto to allow them to give that kind of understanding and empathy, which is a shame. I've been a victim of it myself, most definitely. There's been times in my life where I've been through certain surgeries or certain procedures, and I've had to use a wheelchair, for example. And people have been like, why would you be in a wheelchair? You can walk. There's nothing wrong with you. You know, I saw you a week ago. You're completely fine. What on earth are you doing? You must be doing it for attention, or, you know, you must just be depressed, snap out of it, get on with your life. You know, people don't realize what's going on because they can't see through your skin. They can't feel what you feel. And that's how it is with hidden disabilities. Yeah, that's the life that people live.
Yeah, I think it's a conversation centered around empathy rather than sympathy, because, you know, a lot of people, their go-to reaction is to be sympathetic, and they don't actually try and, you know, think what it can be like in someone else's shoes. They kind of want to stick a plaster over it and go, oh, you're okay now. And that's not really possible.
Yeah, yeah. And there is a massive difference between sympathy and empathy as well. As you said, there's a huge discussion there in itself, isn't there? Sympathy is very easy for people to dish out when there's something to see. Gosh, it must be awful for you. But actually being empathic when somebody has a hidden problem is even more difficult, because how can they possibly put themselves into your shoes or into your position if there's nothing to see? And I think the lack of awareness there is huge. I think it's really hard for people to comprehend what it must be like to have a problem or a disability or something that isn't visual, if they don't truly understand that, you know, we don't all look disabled, we don't all look ill. And I think that's where the real issue comes in. That's where we need to raise the awareness, isn't it? That the outside does not reflect the inside. And in my family, we have these two huge differences, whereas my son is so visually disabled. And actually, I think sometimes his life is happier and easier than mine. You know, he's such a happy soul, but he's so visually disabled that people treat him so differently than they treat me. Whereas on the outside, I look fine and everything's great. And does that make sense? It's like I have that massive diversity in my family, and we see it from both angles. So yeah, it's a tough one.
And I also think that more awareness needed in our multiple disabilities, because I feel like societal expectation kind of say like you can only have one disability and that's it, you know, by your label. And you know, the people are more complex than that. We have intersectionality. We may have several disabilities.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my next question is, what do you find empowering?
Empowering. What do I find empowering? I find empowerment by loving myself for who I am. I mean, I am a therapist. I have been for a long time. And during COVID, I did some modeling. And it all started out of me wanting to put the message out there that actually you can have an illness, you can have anything going on, and you can still look attractive, and you can still love yourself, and you can still be who you are. And it started very, very small. And it ballooned and got very, very big very, very quickly. And I found that hugely empowering, because even though the message I started with kind of did get a bit diluted after a while, and people were just sort of complimenting me on how I looked, I still have hidden disabilities. I still am that person. I still have extensive scarring on my legs. I never showed them because I chose not to. I still have scars all over my body, needle holes, you know, parts of me that have been operated on, etc., etc. And I found that hugely empowering that I was able to do that and still be put on the same platform as anybody else who hadn't got those disabilities. And I found that hugely empowering. So that's self-love, self-acceptance. Self-love is a bit diluted for me. It's deeper than that. It's accepting, actually, I do have these conditions, but they don't take away from who I am. They are part of me, and I love me anyway. So that was massively empowering to do that. And then suddenly to have a massive stage where everybody was like, oh, you look great, it's amazing. And I'm kind of thinking, but I have all of these conditions and you're now treating me like you would treat anybody else. And that was massively empowering. And I did keep saying, you know, I have, I do have a disability, but yeah, massively empowering. Accepting yourself, and finding a level of happiness within that acceptance. Yes, I go through a lot of pain, I go through a lot of procedures, a lot of injections every day, a lot of medications, a lot of stuff happens, but still finding my own happiness within that, if that makes sense. The acceptance and the happiness that empowers me hugely, and helping other people. That's as you well know, Leo, you know, that's where your heart glows, and that's where you find empowerment. Isn't a big enough word, is it? The self-empowerment that you move into when you begin to help other people and use your own experiences and your own lived time to help others to accept who they are and get on their path and find their journeys. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think both of those things that you said, that modeling and helping other people through coaching or counseling or therapy or just being here, I think I agree those are the two things that I would also say. Modeling, I've done some modeling myself, and you're right. It's so empowering personally to be comfortable with your body and to want to show others, you know, this is me, this is my body, this is what I had to deal with. You mentioned scars, you know, and to be able to show that and to feel, you know, this in my body, I think it really, really empowering, not just for us, but also for other people who may have similar disabilities.
Most definitely. Yeah. I think I might move back into it at some point and potentially show a few more scars and just, just be a bit more fierce with it and show everybody else that actually it doesn't matter what you've been through, you're beautiful as you are. And when you accept yourself and love yourself, and as you well know, put yourself out there as you are, it is a good example for other people, and it does help other people. It empowers other people, most definitely. That's why I tell my backstories about my eating disorder recovery as well, because I feel that, you know, that lived experience as well, that's also on my body, if you like. That's always going to be part of who I am. So that's another reason why I share my story, my backstory of how I recovered and what I went through. Because it's empowering for other people, isn't it? Showing your body, talking about things you've been through, all of those things, opening yourself up and making yourself vulnerable, if you like, vulnerable within your disability and vulnerable within your problems can sometimes and often a lot of the time help and empower other people. I really believe that too.
Yeah, good. The words empowered vulnerability come to my mind because you're right. When we're able to share our story and our journey and how we have come to today, we can really empower other people who may be sort of earlier on their journey, whatever that is, and allow them to see that actually, there are other people who have gone through similar situations. I mean, obviously, we are all different and we will all cope with different things in different ways, but it can be really helpful to see when other people do come through the other side.
Most definitely, I really do agree. Everybody's journey is different, and everything that, you know, the way that people deal with things and the way that people go through things is always going to be different. But to see people overcome and to come out the other side, or to be doing the work or living the dream that they want to live and do with disabilities, or having gone through a difficult time or a difficult problem, is massively empowering. It really, really is. Yeah, it does help.
That leads us quite nicely onto my next question. What difference would you like to see or make in the world?
Right. So having obviously I have been a therapist for quite some time, and I have helped lots of other people with eating disorders, and that really does fulfill me and fill up my heart and my soul, and it's always going to be a passion of mine. But at the moment, I'm moving. Hopefully, I'm going back to uni. I'm moving away from psychotherapy and going. I want to move more into industrial psychology. So be an industrial psychologist, so that I can hopefully get into big structures, big organisations, and work within those organisations to raise awareness within employees and those kind of sectors of people who do have disabilities, people do have extra needs, to be able to access their jobs, access their careers, and to be able to work how they need to work. And I feel quite passionate about that now. So that's the change that I'm wanting to make in the world right now. I'm not taking on clients at the moment. Obviously, I'm still working. I'm still helping people, because that's me. That's my passion. But that's the change that I really want to move into. I want to open up regular workspaces, if you like. I want to open up places where people with disabilities potentially can't access at this point, because there is a lot of talk about accessibility, but very often it's not actually on the ground and running. Oh, hey, I see your reaction there. You know, they do talk about accessibility, but I want to make that accessibility just that bit wider, open it up more, and allow more people to be able to work and live how they want to, and how they, you know, to give them the tools and resources that they need to be able to access workspaces and do what they want to do.
Yeah, I think that it can change the world, because funny, I just been writing an article about it actually. I think reasonable adjustment, a lot of company employees say about reasonable adjustment, but actually when it comes down to it, they're not actually, some of them, not all of them obviously, but at my experience, some of them don't actually follow through on making any adjustments.
They don't. There'll be a lot of talk and a lot of, you know, noise about accessibility, but when you actually look at what's going on, things are still not accessible. I can think of so many examples where, you know, there's been, for example, in one big company, I shall not name, but there was a big meeting and it was about accessibility. And when I arrived, there was no wheelchair access. I'm like, this is a good start, you know. This is what I'm talking about. You know, we can talk about accessibility, but it needs to be real. It needs to be functional. It needs to work for people with visible disabilities, with hidden disabilities. You know, everything needs to be looked at in a microscopic way, if you like, because accessibility is more than a word. it's a movement, and it's something that needs to be taken on, you know, into 2024, 2025. We need to really widen this out now and make it a real thing, not just a word, not just an idea and a concept. Accessibility needs to be accessible for all. And in my experience, it's not happening right now. So I am really passionate about making changes in that area, most definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I personally would like to see that on job application and job adverts. I would like, I feel that sometimes when they write about reasonable judgment, it's more like a copy and paste exercise rather than actually tailored to their company. So yeah.
And tailored to the individual. You
Yeah.
know, that accessibility is an individual thing. It is not a one size fits all. It needs to be looked at for the individual in the workplace. Obviously, you know, there are wider accessibility measures that we can take, but to me, it needs to be part of, like you say, part of the employment structure. You know, when you take people on, everybody's individual, and accessibility needs to be looked at in that way, as an individual thing, not as a whole.
Yeah, definitely on an individual basis.
Most definitely.
Well, I'm very interested to see your work in the coming future around that. And then a real pleasure to talk to you today. When and how can people who are watching this, how can they connect with you?
I mean, you can connect with me via Facebook, via my Facebook. You can message me, it's fine. I'm happy to give advice. I'm not taking on clients at the moment. My Facebook's a good way to access me at the moment.
Okay, great. And I'll share your Facebook link name thing with this interview. And then the Scarlett O'Connor, and thank you to everybody who watched this. Check out all the other conversations and find out about my own coaching and speaking at leoaces.co.uk, and ACES interview will be that soon with another powerful conversation. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching ACES interviews. Find out more about Scarlett O'Connor in the show notes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.